Hi, this is Marvin Cook. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you find some things you like here. Today what we're going to go over is the basic footwork and the fundamentals, which is the foundation of boxing, and it's one of the most important things that is usually forgotten and left out. So enjoy. Alright, so now we're going to go into the footwork. This is going to be a little different. I'm going to show you some things that are going to kind of open and just expand your thoughts on the movement a little bit, because there's certain elements that we're going to have to maintain in order to get this to work properly. First of all, I want to recognize something here. I want you to recognize that the way we move is actually it's inhibited a lot, just in the way we were taught to move. When you learn to walk, we basically generate motion from our shoulders. So we generate motion from the top down, which is not very effective, not very efficient. So we learn to do it, and we generate it in everything we do. We generate speed and power. The brain likes to generate speed and power in a circular motion. So a lot of what we do, we spin into all of our moves, and we generate that motion from our shoulders. So in order to do that, you create momentum, and then you have to stop that momentum before you can actually change direction or even continue in that motion. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn to override the way our brain tells us to create motion. And that's by coming from the core or the hips. We're going to create motion from the waist down. The movement is going to be done from the waist down. So the way I like to kind of nail this home and give you something to generate or to construct in your mind is as if you have a two-man team here. We have a vehicle from here, and let's say we have a gun mounted on the top of that vehicle. All right, so now you have one gunner, you have one driver. The gunner doesn't help the driver drive, and the driver doesn't help the gunner shoot. As long as they mind their business and do their job, then this team is almost invincible. All right, so they can always help each other out by just doing their job and minding their business. If they do that, then it works. The minute they try to get over into the other person's job, then it gets a little crowded and it gets, messed up a little bit. So what we're doing here is understanding from the true boxer stance, when you're here, all of your movement should be created from the waist down. Your shoulders should not help you move, okay? Your shoulders should not help you move. Your shoulders are there so that you can generate the proper punches. Okay, so we're going to override some things that our brain is trying to cloud us in there with. It's going to try to interrupt. It's almost like an error message coming up on your computers. You're always going to be dismissing that until you override that program. So that's the frustrating part. It's very simple. The elements of it are very simple, and you can do them very easily. But the application is going to be a little frustrating until you, like I said, clear all of those instant error messages that come in. All right, so now from the true boxer stance, to be truly balanced here, we're going to keep the same objective of holding your rifle on your opponent. But if you want to move to your right, well, let's say we're going to start with the left. You want to move to your left or to your lead hand. I'm not going to eliminate the southpaws. You want to move to your lead hand. In this case, it'll be your left. You would push off with your rear foot or your opposite foot, okay? Now, when doing this, it becomes a little bit of a task, because the natural thing that you're going to want to do is when you push off with your rear foot, you're going to want to open and step with your lead foot to create that motion over to the side, to create that movement, all right? So we're going to have to override that. Everything is done on half steps, okay? The minute you start to take longer steps or stretch out your steps, that's when you're going to lose this balance, because balance is the key to all of this. So whenever you're doing this, whenever you're moving, and everything we're doing here has to be balanced. So when I push off, I want to take the small half step, and you're going to generate a little bit of a rotation in your hips, okay? So when you push here, you're going to kind of step and rotate into the movement, okay? So now you're still facing your opponent. So everything is going to be stepped and placed onto your opponent, okay? We don't want to try to create all of the distance in one step by here. And this is where you'll see in boxing all the time. Guys will move, open, close. Everything is opening and closing, opening and closing. Now, the way that hinders you is that you're not able to even get into your offense fast enough. You cannot even create your offense until you open, close, punch. Everything is that way. It's open, close, punch. We do it so often we don't realize that there's a hindrance there. But by coming from the hips and moving from here, you can always hold your offense open of every step. And you can go right into your offense continuously of every step. Okay? Moving forward, you're doing the same thing. If you're going to go forward, you're going to push off of your rear foot and step forward. As opposed to, a lot of times when we're throwing our punches, we're following our hands. So we'll throw a punch and lean into it. So now everything is leaning on the front foot, and then we correct it. But by moving from here, you never have to correct the off-balance condition. We don't want to create the off-balance condition simply by pushing forward here. Backwards is the same thing. Push off the front foot, keep the balance between the 2 feet, just like that. So you want to practice and drill being able to move and stay balanced. Balance has to be the key. That's the number one objective, is holding your balance and being able to have the control of your movement as you generate motion. So from here, if I want to move over and take 2 steps to my left, then I should be able to take those 2 steps and still have the balance to do whatever I want to. Whether I want to change direction, whether I want to hold still and not drift, whether I want to go back the other way, go backwards, move forward, take advantage of an angle, whatever. I should have the ability to move and change that on the fly. That's going to be the thing when you're drilling this and when you're working on this. Make that conscious note that you want to have control over your movement. Concentrate on the movement without generating your shoulders into it, because that's going to hinder your offense. That's going to hinder your ability to punch. Okay? So we want to make sure that we concentrate on the movement from the waist down. Okay, so now on the footwork and on the movement, we're going to override a few of the instinctive habits that we have in the way that we move. And it actually cleans up the steps, it cleans up the movement, and it allows you to hold your balance and hold your form. One thing you got to recognize about form, and you'll hear me emphasize this all the way through as a thread in everything that I teach, and the form is where you maximize or improve speed, power, and accuracy all at once. The minute you start focusing on any one of those elements, you actually have to sacrifice a little bit of the others. So if you're focusing on speed, you'll see how you'll lose a little power or accuracy. And if you're focusing on power, you're going to lose speed and accuracy. And if you're just focusing on accuracy, a lot of times you're going to lose the speed and the power. So when you're focusing on the form and how smooth and how clean that you're running everything without having to give up balance or give up control, and you're actually holding all of those in, the form, your speed may feel a little slow, it may feel, your power may feel a little less than, but the more you work on that, you'll see all of it kind of maximize and grow up at the same time, and you'll be able to control it and do more with it. And you can actually change the speeds, and you can change the intensity, change all of that simply by having the control. So when we're doing the movement, a few things that you want to kind of focus on to ensure that you are kind of eliminating a lot of the unnecessary motion and unnecessary efforts and energies in it, is when we were going over moving to your lead hand, moving over to your left in this case, when you push, you don't want to have the opening like we mentioned. You don't want to open your hips this way, because it actually exposes yourself. So when you're here, you're concentrating on your rifle, your lead hand being in front of you, so that it's facing between you and your opponent. So when I push off here, watch what happens with the rear foot. In a lot of cases, we will step and then circle, almost just step and pivot, step and then circle. So what you're doing when you do that is you're actually pushing off, and your weight, the weight of your body is actually shifting from here in a balanced stance. You should be able to lift either foot without your head coming back and forth. You should be able to generate the power, generate this movement from either foot without being here to do it. Should be right here. So now, to ensure that we keep that balance here, when you step over, rotate your hip and step into place as opposed to dragging your foot. So it's real simple. You just step. It's a step, step. Step, 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 step. As opposed to stepping through and spinning, which is what you'll see a lot, but it actually takes longer and you don't have the control of your offense as you do it. So when we're coming forward, when you're pushing forward, you'll have what I call the little Igor drag. And you'll see guys step, and they drag their foot, and they drag their foot behind it. It's a lot easier and a lot more effective when you push, place your foot. So you hear it, boom, you place your foot right under you, right back into the true boxer stance. The more you drag your foot, the harder it is to maintain that stance because you're moving and your foot is not coming with you. When you bring it with you, you don't have to worry about where it is. You don't have to worry about placing it back in position. You don't have to worry about any of that. It stays right where it's supposed to be. So, once again, focus on balance and control, and the movements will do what they're supposed to do. As soon as you're here, you push off from here, come home with it. So now your hands can move, and your head can get out of the way. You can reposition, change direction. Everything is done on a balanced stance, as opposed to generating the momentum from your shoulders, which is the way a lot of movement is generated. So we're coming from here and moving with our shoulders, as opposed to just moving your feet. Everything is placed. So now when you understand that your feet are one unit, when one moves, the other moves. And you can keep it together. Make sure you're focusing on balance. The rest of it will just make sense. Okay? Now you see how the steps are all half steps. Small movement. You'll get where you need to go because by taking the half steps and maintaining your offense, you're able to throw punches on the move. So you don't have to hurry up and get from one step or one position to the next before you're caught or hurt or hit because you're not open. You're not vulnerable. Everything stays behind your rifle, your jab. There you go. You're moving straight out, straight in, coming in off the angles. There you go. Everything comes from the waist down.